Hey everybody, this is Peter with Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to be taking a look at Adventure Party, the role-playing party game by David Smith and Travis Winstead of Winsmith Games, and it's being produced by Smirk and Dagger. So as the name of the game indicates, Adventure Party, the role-playing party game, this is a game that is going to be mashing together two ideas. One, a high player count party game, and two, role-playing games. It does this in a very interesting way, and I will go ahead and right out of the gate let you know I am not a massive fan of party games, but you know that I am a huge fan of role-playing games. So I was very interested to see how these two games could be kind of mashed together and successfully merge role-playing games and party games. So before we get into my feelings or my thoughts on this game itself, let's learn a little bit about how the game is played. Adventure Party is a game that's going to be played with anywhere between 3 and 8 players, each one of those players taking on the role of a fantasy archetype character from the fantasy genre, role-playing games, all of those types of things. They're going to do that by choosing a player screen. On one side shows the image of the character they're going to be playing as well as the archetype. And then on the inside of the screen, you'll see the same picture as well as a range of rolls that can be made on a d20, with 20 being a fantastic success, a 1 being an absolute failure, and then a couple in between here, as well as then information about the archetype that player is playing as well as skills that they're proficient at, items that they might be carrying and or wearing, and weapons that they might use. So each player is going to get their player screen, as well as 2 randomly assigned magic item cards. On the other side, they will see the image for the item they received, as well as a description of that item. And then everybody will also have a d20. And you're going to be rolling that to see how well your character is succeeding at what it is they're trying to do, or how poorly they are doing at the task they want to do. So this ends up being a guessing game. And what we're going to do to start the game is, once everybody has chosen their fantasy archetype, they have their magic items, then everyone is going to roll their d20, and the person who rolls the highest begins the game as the first guess master. Once the guest master has been determined, they will take up the very first scenario card. Each one of these cards has a paragraph or 2 scenario that the players around the table are going to be creating a story around. And it's going to start with the guest master. They're going to read the scenario on their side of the card, and then they're going to ask the player to their left, "What do you do?" And that initiates the beginning of play. The first player will roll their d20 behind their player screen, and that's going to give them whether or not they succeed or they fail, and how poorly they succeed, or how greatly they succeed, or how greatly they fail, or how poorly they fail. And that is all ranged from 1 to 20, with 1 to 9 being a failure and 10 to 20 being successes. Now, the player is going to roll their number, and then utilizing that number, determine just how well or poor they did. Then, looking at their character archetype screen, choosing some of the items that they might be using, as well as choosing for sure one of their magic items that they're using, they begin to weave a tale of how well or poor they did. Once they are done describing their story, which usually is only going to be somewhere between a minute or 2, then it is to the guest master to try to guess what number they rolled on their d20 behind the screen. The guest master is allowed to ask for 1 clarifying question. If they can't think of one, they might ask one of the other party members if they might ask a clarifying question. And then the guest master has to guess a number. The other players are also going to be guessing, but because they're not the guest master, their guesses are only going to be counting for points towards themselves. while the guest master, depending on what they guess, is going towards experience points for the party as a whole. Now, once they have made their guesses, everybody will reveal their guesses and the player will reveal their number. If the guest master gets the number exactly correct, the party earns 5 experience points. If they guess away from that number by 5 or more, everyone's going to get 0 experience points. But in between there, let's say the player rolled a 13 and the guest master guesses a 10. They were 3 off. So instead of getting 5 experience points, they would get 5 minus 3, so only 2 experience points. Those experience points are going to be tracked on the party sheet, as well as then everybody else's individual guesses will be tracked on that party sheet for that individual character as well. And those are going to be going as glory points for that player at the end of the game. So Guest Master has guessed and everybody else has made their guesses. Points have been tallied. And now it is turn for the first player to become the new guest master. And the player to their left will continue the story from where the first player left off. And they're going to go around the table, ending the scenario with the original guest master giving their adventurer's story last. And again, everybody is weaving this story together. This is where it is a party game. It's role-playing because we are telling a story together in this fantasy world, in this scenario. It's a party game because we are guessing the game. We can have a high player count all the way up to 8, and we are guessing to see what everybody rolled. But it's also a cooperative game, which I think is a lot of fun. You're not really playing against each other, except for the glory points. And at the very end of the game, the player who finishes with the most glory points has the reward of getting to wrap up the tale and see how exactly everything turned out, how well everybody is going to be remembered. So you can go ahead and call it quits after just one scenario, or you can play a longer game with either 2 scenario cards or even a full campaign of 3 scenario cards. They do recommend that if you're going to be playing a game of about 3 scenario cards, probably only play up to about 6 players so that you can keep your game to around an hour. If you're going up to 7 or 8 players, they recommend keeping the campaign down to just 2 scenario cards. And again, if you're just looking for a really quick 5 to 10 minute game, you could just play 1 scenario card and call it quits right then and there. But once everybody has gone and you've played through the amount of scenarios you wish to play, then in the rule book, you do take your party sheet where you've been keeping your scores, and then you go to the end game scoring where you will tally your points to see how well or how poor your party did. The final person with the most glory points gets to descriptively, in story form, tell the legend of your party and their adventure. And everybody, that is Adventure Party, the role-playing party game. Now I'm going to tell you my thoughts on this game. So the idea of Adventure Party being a party game that is a role-playing game kind of all mashed together, I love the idea. Now the actual implementation of it, I feel like really revolves around the right group of people. So as much as this is a party game, this is still reliant on having a group of people who are going to be interested and excited by the idea of telling a story together, and also using a little bit of improvisation. I've played a lot of games with people over the years, and there are definitely some people who improvisation is not going to be something that they're interested in. The idea of storytelling is not what they're going to be interested in. And so if you're in a party situation, you're having a group of somewhere up to 6 to 8 people, and you have a group that you know really enjoy telling stories, talking, and socializing, then I can absolutely see this game really being a hit. And then the fun idea of trying to guess the right number also being intriguing. Now, the game, it does mention that you don't want to, in your description of your story, be leading in any way numerically as to what your number is. So you definitely want to come up with flavorful ways of trying to give that variety of a D20. It's a big range of numbers that the guest master and the players will have to be choosing between. But with the right group of people, I think this could be a really fun and enjoyable game. But it does make me wonder how many times I'm going to find myself in that right group. Now, it's a small game. It's not going to take up a lot of space on my shelf. So it's not like I have to get this game played or get rid of it. You know, it's definitely something that I can keep in my back pocket as a fun option for when I find myself in that right group of people, or again, reaching out to the people that I know who I think would really enjoy this game and creating a whole party evening around this one game where most of the evening we're just hanging out and talking, but we do spend a little bit of time playing a game and it being this game. Again, I love role-playing games. I think they're fantastic for building camaraderie, and I like campaigns. I like long games that go on for months and months. But being able to try to simulate a portion of that in a short period of time, I think could be really fun. So I like the idea of Adventure Party, the role-playing party game. But again, caveat, right group of people at the right time. So my final thoughts, Adventure Party is a really cool idea. And if it is something that sounds interesting to you, then you're definitely going to want to go and check this one out. Right now, it is either available for pre-order on a few websites that I saw, as well as listed on its main page as just being forthcoming. So keep your eyes out. The version that I had to review is a kind of a pared down early version of it. When it finally is released, there's supposed to be somewhere around 30 different scenarios, making this a very highly replayable game. And again, different groups of people are going to play this differently. Maybe you want to just sit down and play a single scenario for your first go at it, or if you're just trying to fill some time in between other games, or you could just make a whole evening of it by doing 3 scenarios in a row, get a full hour in, enjoy yourselves. So yeah, Adventure Party, the role-playing game, I think could be a really fun idea. Definitely go check it out if you enjoy party games and you like role-playing and fantasy. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you have any questions, you can ask them in the comment section below. And if you want to check out this game, you should definitely go and do that. Again, it finished up on Kickstarter, and I believe as of August 2023 right now, it is in late pledge, so you can check that out for the time being. And if you found the video helpful, give it a like, maybe subscribe to the channel, find out more about what we're doing here at tabletopgamingguild.com. And until we talk again, everybody else, keep on playing games.